In this video, we're going to be talking about ratios, rates, and unit rates. So our vocab terms here, first term that we need to know is what a ratio actually is. So a ratio is a comparison of two values. And ratios can be written in three ways. So we can write a ratio with these two little dots, A to B. We can also write it in fraction form, A to B. And then we can also write it using words, A to B. So they can be written in 1, 2, 3 ways, but it is just a way to compare values. A rate is a comparison of values with different units. So, for example, if I said that you made $8 for every hour that you worked, these have two different units because we're talking about money and hours. So that would be an example of a rate. And last but not least, a unit rate. So a unit rate, if we're talking about a singular unit, we always are going to be looking for a denominator, if I could spell, denominator of 1, because we are looking for a singular unit. So for example, in the example I just gave up top, $8 for every 1 hour, this is a unit rate because I have a denominator of 1. I'm also comparing that value to 1 unit of 1 hour. Example 1, Nathan and Dan were both hired as lifeguards for the summer. They received their patches for the first week. Who earns more per hour? So remember, per hour means each hour. And just as a hint, if it's asking for per or each, we are going to be looking for the unit rate because that is looking for 1 hour. So it looks like Nathan is making $46.25 for 5 hours of work. And it looks like Dan is making $78.75 for 9 hours of work. So this is an example of a rate because I have two different units. I have total earnings money and then hours worked. Now the key here is that it wants it per hour, not per dollar. So my unit rate that I'm finding, the singular unit is going to be hours. So I want hours to be on the bottom of my fraction. So for Nathan, I'm going to put 5 on the bottom, and on top, I'm going to be putting 46.25. And then I'm going to change my color up here for Dan. Dan works 9 hours, and he makes $78.75. Now, we are trying to figure out who earns more per hour, so we know we want to have a denominator of 1 to find my unit rate of how much they make each hour. Now, with unit rate, we need to be thinking about how are we getting from 5 to 1? What would I use if I'm trying to find my unit rate with operation? So I'm going to be using division. And on this unit, you guys can use your calculator. So I'm going to go ahead and split screen here so I can have my calculator up. If you want to challenge yourself, go ahead and don't use your calculator because, oops. Because we all know how to divide, but you guys can use your calculators on this unit. So for Nathan, I'm going to go ahead and do 46.25 divided by 5. Remember, order matters when you divide. So it looks like he is making $9.25 for each hour he works. And for Dan, 78.75 divided by 9, he is making $8.75 for each hour that he works. So who is earning more per hour? That would be Nathan. Example 2, Jennifer is a lifeguard at the same pool. She earns $137.25 or $137.25 for 15 hours of lifeguarding. So I'm going to go ahead and set this up as my rate. I know we're trying to find per hour here, so hours is going to be on the bottom. 15 hours, 137.25. And we want to figure out how much she's making in 1 hour. So I'm going to go ahead and divide 137.25 divided by 15. That means that she is making $9.15 for every hour that she works. Example 3, Brian agrees to watch his neighbor's dogs for 7 days. His neighbor provides a 128-ounce bag of dog food. Does Brian have enough to feed the dogs for all 7 days? So it looks like Buster eats 20.5 ounces in 2 days, and Roxy eats 22 ounces in 3 days. Now these are 2 different days, right? Buster is eating in this amount in 2 days, and Roxy's eating a certain amount in 3 days, and we need to figure out, do we have enough for 7 days? So I first want to figure out how much each of these dogs eats every single day. So I'm going to need to find my unit rate of days here. So I'm going to put days on the bottom. So for Buster, he eats 20.5 ounces in 2 days, and I want to figure out, okay, how much does he eat in 1 day? So 20.5 divided by 2 is 10.25. And then for Roxy eats 22.5 in 3 days. So how much is she going to eat in 1 day? 22.5 divided by 3. She eats 7.5 ounces each day. So I know I have 128 ounces of dog food total. So I need to figure out how much both of these dogs are eating each day. So I know that together I'm going to have to add these up because I want to figure out how much both of these dogs eat together each day. So I'm going to go ahead and add here. So together they eat 17.75 ounces each day, and I know that I'm going to be feeding them for 7 days. So do I have enough food? So I'm going to go ahead and multiply how much they eat each day by my 7 days, and total I know that they are going to eat 124.25 ounces. And my bag of food, I have 128 ounces. So yes, I do have enough to feed the dogs for 7 days.